Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon, doing a 4K recording for how to set up, play and review Peter McPherson's Tiny Towns by AEG. Now, I've already done a review video, but this is how to set up, play and review, partially because I will be playing it straight after teaching someone new. I've got a kind of explained score sheet here as well, to show you how that works. One thing we'll say is you don't need a score sheet this big. It could be at least a quarter the size, and as you can see, it's only printed one side. So if you are watching this as a short, please make sure you head through to watch the full video. Also to check out various things such as how to support the channel via Patreon, join the discussion over on Facebook, over 2,900 posts over on Instagram, and also various other competitions occasionally via Linktree, but they are time sensitive. Now, I look to get forward to getting an insert to show you how to put this away nicely. However, this insert is very nice, though it has these things in here too. Okay, aside from that, we have got a first player marker, who is the master builder. Over here, we've got a number of cards. You're only going to use these if you're playing it solo. If you are playing it solo, those are sleeved, so check out my sleeve playlist to do with that. Over here, we do have a board. This is to see who's the best builder in your town, who is the best tiny town builder. Everybody is going to take 2 cards of these. These are monument cards. This is optional, but I highly recommend it. It's something you can look towards to completing. I'll tell you how that works in a second. Look at 2 of them. Pick one, get rid of the other one. I have played through all the cards. I've played through all these other cards as well. So let's move on to what starts in the game. Well, we have a cottage. I did say this in 4K, so do zoom in if you need to. I might turn off this light just to see if it works any better. I do have a bit of a shadow going on, so I do apologise for that. So those cards all go back in the box. Next up, we've got various randomised buildings. So if you go through it, you'll notice that there's a few of each type. So we have this yellow building, which happens to be a bakery in this case. We've also got a temple, again, it's a yellow. We have an orange. We've now got a shed over here too. We have got a tavern, and that's the person arriving to play. We have got a feast hall. We happen to have, I think that's it. We have one more building to come, which is a rather interesting looking building because it is black. And this happens to be the trading post. So over here, there are various buildings, one of each type, apart from the cottage, which is always in play. And here are the various cottages and various buildings you will have out. I tend to actually take these and place them next to it, so you can actually see what is being used. There's also different resources. So we have wheat, we have wood, we have got stone, we have got glass. And lastly, I'm trying to find where it's gone, we have got one other resource as well, which you can have, and I'll get onto that in a second. So there's various different things you can be playing with. So what else did I show you? Well, like I said, there's different buildings in play. So we do have a shed. Now there are standard resources you can play with as well. You have got other resources too. So there's 5 different resources. The way it's going to work is you're aiming to be the best builder. Best builder equals most points. You get the most points by doing the following. So on our turn, whoever's going to start first, you can obviously randomize it, is someone's going to name a resource. Someone's going to name a resource and they're going to say, I don't know, wood. So now they're going to take wood and everybody's going to place it somewhere on their 4x4 grid. Then someone else is going to name it and everybody's going to do the same thing. Take that resource and place it wherever they want to. So say glass. Someone else then says, right, I name a resource and it's going to be wheat. So you're going to name out wheat and there you go, you're tracking out wheat. Everyone's doing the same thing, so it's all simultaneous. This is a 1-6 player game. It doesn't matter if someone is particularly slow or anything like that. You're looking over, mulling over it, but it turns off very fast because everyone's doing it at the same time. Someone says brick. Now in this instance, at the end of your turn, you can say, I'm now going to build something. And now you can build a cottage. So you take these resources off. Wherever that was, you're going to take that building, like a blueprint, and place it exactly where it will be. So in this case, you've now built a cottage. This is worth 3 points if it is fed. Now, is there anything that can feed them? There's always a building that can feed something. In this case, it's worth 4 victory points if 2 or more are fed, so temple also wants to be fed too. But what we're going to need in this instance, sorry, I've got one too many outs. I need to check out a different card. Unfortunately, this was shuffled and somehow it wasn't put away correctly. We have the feeder, the farm in this case. It feeds 4 buildings. So it feeds 4 buildings, hence the feeding symbol here, and it's anywhere in your town. So you want to get some cottages maybe, or maybe you want to get a feeding thing first to build them. So you might see a lot of wheat being called out, like in bingo. You might see a lot of wood being called out. So that's how the game's going to work. At the end of the game, it's as soon as you cannot go, that declares the end of the game for you. Everyone else continues until they also then can't play, so basically you're always blocking yourself up. These go back in the supply as well. And then you go into scoring. So let's show you how scoring works. Well, for each building, sometimes they score, sometimes they do not. As you can see, sometimes these feeding buildings don't score themselves, but they feed other things. Any spare gaps you have, so take off any empty resources at the end, Anything left over as a gap is going to leave you with -1 victory points for each thing. You're going to score up your final monument as well. In this case, it's 1 point when constructed. Replace up to 2 buildings in your town with any of the building types. So you might want to go for like a tavern, because 2 extra ones is going to get you an extra 11 points. Aside from that, that's basically how the game's going to go. So sometimes you have a shed, maybe you can construct anywhere in your town, so you don't have to worry about logistics where you're placing it. As I mentioned, there's 5 different resources. Now, the colours are very similar. That's why I couldn't find the brick a second ago. But there you have it. You have 5 different resources. You're going to keep an eye on everyone's tavern to see what they're building, and maybe decide, okay, if they're building a tavern, I want to stop them building more taverns because they're going to get more points. That is it. That is how the game goes, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the next video. My review for this is at least 7.5 out of 10, highly enjoyable. It is a bit crunchy, and unfortunately, like I did say in a prior video, I broke my other lamp, so that's why unfortunately we've got a bit of a shade going on. But hopefully you did find that of interest. Please let me know in the comments are best in YouTube. Also like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Speak to you very soon. For now, back to the table.